now we're going to move on to our third shot, which is basically this, which basically encompasses the dining room and the kitchen area, which is kind of nice, and the foyer. So it gives you a pretty big expanse of this whole area. Now, this area's got some pretty nice light. It's got some nice ambient light coming in here, but this area is kind of dark right in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a larger bank light to basically flood this with some nice soft light in here. I may actually even do a little bounce off of this wall to kind of fill this slightly, because these cabinets are, even though they're really pretty, they're very dark and they are sucking up a lot of light. So that's going to be our next shot. This way, like I said, this area has got some nice light, although this needs to come up quite a bit. And in bracketing, this would be a little more difficult, so I'm actually going to add a little ambient light in, or a little strobe light in here to fill. So,
what are you thinking?
Well, thinking about as far as the lighting, this area here is going to need some light back in there, and I've got a little blind spot right here that I think probably what I'll do is take this bank light and move it back into there, run it vertical, and actually light that area down in there with that, and then do some soft fill, maybe off this wall or maybe with a large bank, to then accentuate this a little more. The only thing that I'm looking at as I'm looking at that is that you always kind of be conscious of your angles, and if you have lights up, I have a couple of glass openings on these cabinets there, and I can clearly see that that's going to be in my field of view from my camera. So with that bank light there, I will definitely see the bank light in that. So the remedy for that, again, from the retouching standpoint and layering, is basically to shoot the shot that I need for the cabinets. Then I would take and remove the bank light out and do an exposure so that I have something for those windows, so that you don't actually see the bank light in the windows. So there again too, the layering and the multiple exposures are, very important when you're doing things with the reflective surfaces as well, that you've got a light. So I think I will move this back into here. Yeah, we should have a good little blind spot there from that. I'll go back over. We may need to do a little adjustment, but this will definitely help this area quite a bit. So as I come back to my camera, just a simple little trick that everybody, pretty much most shooters, know. If you just take your head, look at your lens, and then turn your head back towards your subject, you can pretty much get a pretty good view of what you're going to be seeing. And that wall is hiding that, so we're in pretty good shape there, actually. I'd mentioned the glass on the cabinets, and as you can see, it's actually, the bank light is in that. So I'll need to do a shot without that, which basically I'll back it out and do a shot just for those glass openings on the cabinet. Also too, you can see it's giving me a nice little highlight on the stainless steel refrigerator, and hopefully we'll have some nice light on those cabinets as well. Get one of my other lights from upstairs, put a bigger bank light on for a little more coverage, and basically kind of do a light in here so that this area doesn't go too dark for me. That's my healthy assistant lifting the 4800 Speedotron. That's how we break in our grasshoppers on the shoot. That particular power pack is like lifting about 80 pounds. Again, that's why the Profotos are so popular. The bigger the source, the softer the light. That's why the Octabanks, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, the big, huge 6-foot umbrellas, that's why they are very popular for fashion shoots, because you can use them outside and they're very, very soft. They almost look like additional natural light. and with just a little down rake to it. Again, we're shooting at 16, and that's a pretty sweet part of this lens. The ambient is telling me that we're at a 20th, so that may be a little hot, but we'll go ahead and do one test here to see what we've got. And we'll be ready to bracket. I do see one other thing that we have here, which I'll take a little piece of tape. This is my everything rope. Has my duct tape on it, clamps. Never leave home without it. Little piece of tape. We're going to tape up that cord that's hanging down underneath the table there. When you have a picture or a mirror that's reflecting, sometimes we'll take a little piece of paper or that foil and put it behind the picture just to tilt it so it doesn't get the reflection. So always remember to take those things out. All right, get rid of the cord. Get rid of the, see now the cord's gone, the backlight's gone. So we're good to go from an exposure standpoint here. Now here's kind of our finished piece. We could go in and take these windows down a little bit more if we wanted and do some other work like that. But I want to kind of show you some of the things that we've done here. I'll kind of try to bounce back and forth here. Okay, here's one of the original exposures. One of the first ones, as you could see, and you can see how light and kind of hot everything is. But basically with that, we've used some of those areas in the kitchen area here for the counters. And I think I'd mentioned to you when we were shooting too about the backlight that we have here that is reflecting in the window here, in this glass area of the cabinet here, which in our final, we've retouched that out, of course. And so there again too, here's one even lighter basically that we're going to use just this area down in here, again over in here where we have more detail in the cabinets. We'll go to the other extreme where we have a much darker exposure. This would be for our lights, some of our highlight areas, as well as our windows. On the final, I left our windows a little blooming because I like the feel of it being light and airy, but as you can see, we've taken it down where it can be even darker if we needed to. Here's one that even goes a step further from our exposures where we've went down even darker. And we've done this, I suggest when you're doing this to do this with your shutter speed and do not alter your f-stop because your f-stop can change your depth of field, which also can throw off your focus. So keep your f-stop at the same if it's 11 or 16 or whatever you're shooting at, and alter your shutter speed to vary your exposures as opposed to your f-stop. Here's one that we've taken all the way down. If you wanted the windows to be this dark, you would have one there to use in that area as well. And here we have an exposure, as I'd mentioned before, where we've exposed now and turned the backlight off that was here, so it's no longer reflecting in here. This is actually the reflection of the window here in the cabinets, which is fine, because it's a natural reflection as opposed to the actual backlight. So here's a very hot exposure that we've used now for some of these areas here, as well as these lights up in here above the cabinet to read. So you've seen this wide range of exposures that we have here now, and here's our final. As you can see, now that we've got everything all layered up. Now we did go in, I took a little thing here, I removed the little light that was up here, just some little, I took a tone and put it down here. There was a light switch down here, I mean a plug that was down here. There was a cord here, just little things to make it more smooth and a little more perfect, if you will, from a standpoint of things that distract when you kind of take a look at the picture.